Pixelated graphics, aesthetic choice, or lazy design? obviously, obviously, there's a line there somewhere where
What year are you talking?
like games that come out now. All right, so I'll tell you why. If you go to Steam and you just search based on like things that are available for Linux,
Mhm.
so many of them are like this, like, oh, this is like a retro style, this is like
Right. Oh
old school
yeah.
gaming style. And I think that like there is a place for that, like aesthetically, like there are games that are beautiful in the way that they utilize that aesthetic. But I think there's a lot of cases where it's just like those game engines are just easier to get your hands on, and it's easier to do that with a small development team, maybe of only one person.
Right.
You may not have a 3D artist or somebody to actually like put the game together in another way, and so it's kind of like you're like kind of utilizing what you have. But then there's also the element of like, well, maybe I just don't want to put that much effort into it. Maybe I just want to do I'm just going to call it like a retro old school stylized. And in reality, it's just, I was just trying to get out
Right.
easy in the graphics department. What do you, what do you think about this conundrum? Like what's the fine line there?
Like, oh,
The way I framed the question might have made it too hard.
no, 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 no. It's you're good. You're good. So, like, okay, so I'm playing Valheim right now.
Yeah.
It's like slightly
Oh man.
pixelated.
Yeah.
It's not totally pixelated, but it kind of
Yeah.
is. But the atmosphere that you get in the game is amazing. Like
Right.
like just the atmosphere of the trees and the wind you can see. It's pixelated. You can tell it's pixelated. Actually, the
Yeah.
wind reminds me of Zelda Wind Waker. That's how the wind looked in that game, and that was a oh, what do they call that? Cell shaded game.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know. Just like look out there. Like does that look like they went cheap?
So the all right, so right now I'm streaming your desktop to my PC, and it's extremely pixelated
Oh, because of the
it's
stream.
yeah, because it's going across the country
Crap.
to us. But probably anybody listening to this podcast probably is aware of Valheim, and we reviewed it in past episode. The uh the game the game does look beautiful, but it is also very pixelated and stylized. You're absolutely right. I think Valheim is a very good example of where it was an aesthetic choice
Yeah,
um that
exactly.
yeah, that really makes the game unique. So I mean, yeah, I didn't even think about that. And the game that I'm going to be talking about in this episode is not beautiful like Valheim. But it also was
Not
like
beautiful.
they're kind of going with this like choice of doing this like low style, low poly style graphics. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I don't know. I think there's more to Valheim than they just use this easy access, like easy to get engine that has this certain style graphics. Like I think that for them there's more behind it than that, because there's so much like lighting effects.
Right.
They have really nice, even though the objects in the game are pixelated and low poly count in a lot of cases, they also have lots of particle effects. The water actually is pretty high quality. The water's pretty nice. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't necessarily think I think it's a good example of whenever they make this aesthetic choice. I'll tell you another thing I like is when games have like the sort of cell shaded, like artistic, like almost like it was like it painterly, like painted
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
I think that
That's what I
type
was
of
talking
graphics.
about. Yeah, that's what I was talking about with Wind Waker. Like, that
Oh,
is one of my
yeah.
favorite, like, looking Zelda games. Like,
Yeah.
it kinda looks like the newest Zelda game too. That has the same kinda cell shaded
It does.
graphics, but
Yeah.
it looks amazing, even though
Yeah.
it's not the highest quality graphics, I guess you could say.
Right.
Most realistic, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another great example. I really like that style. And I think one really good thing about it, especially if you're like an indie you're an indie company with a small team, the good thing about using that type of stylized, like painterly style, is that it stands the test of time. Like
Right.
games that are like they look perfect today, 4 years from now, you're gonna look at it and you're gonna go, whoa, like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I thought that looked good.
Exactly.
Wow, it looks crazy. But those like really stylized, it will always look that way. um, so I don't know. I think basically we've just talked me out of it. I think in most cases maybe it's a good thing. Especially I would say this in the big titles where they've made that choice, it's definitely like for that reason. And I don't know. I just don't get into like the really retro style like um, you know,
Right. No, I know. I totally know what you're saying.
yeah.
I get it. I like the new retro games. I'm not that big of a fan of, but if it's like an older retro game, like I'm a pretty big fan of those. Like
Hmm,
I'll play those
yeah.
all the time.
Hmm. Well, good thing we got to the bottom of that. Welcome to Crowbar Kernel Panic, the podcast at the intersection of Linux and gaming. This is episode 15, and today we are live streaming on YouTube in two places. We're actually live streaming over at Undercast Collective and at Crowbar Kernel Panic. Although right now we don't have any live viewers. We're going at like a weird time. It's pretty late tonight. But if you come in, please like, subscribe, do all that jazz. I know that both channels are trying to go to 100. That's the next goal for both channels, and I don't care which one you subscribe to. I would say that if you are here for Crowbar Kernel Panic and clips about Crowbar Kernel Panic, then that is the channel that's going to have that content. We're also you can send us an email at crowbarkernelpanic@pm.me. You can join us on Discord, the Mintcast Discord. I have a link to it in the show notes. And I saw there was lots of activity this week in the Linux gaming section. I don't know what
Yeah.
the big debate was, but I need to I gotta have a giant red dot on my Discord because
Well, the
I'm
one
not caught up on any of it.
the one question what he was asking about Proton, like, is it a good thing? And I gave a 3-paragraph response.
Yeah. Well, what was the verdict on that? Like, I
To be
imagine you
honest,
think
I
it
can't
is a
remember
good
what I
thing.
wrote exactly, but I know my feelings on it, and that's that
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that without Proton, we wouldn't have any games or many games at all.
Yeah.
So that's basically what I think. I think Proton is good.
Hmm.
Native games are awesome, but we wouldn't have the amount of games without Proton, period.
Yeah. We still love the native developers. We still want to see you. We want to support you.
Yeah, no lie,
Um,
yeah.
at 100%. But we are very, very thankful for Proton. That's the world we live in. Um, so let's get into some YouTube comments. Um, we had I had one that I actually did comment on, so it took it out of our list here.
Mm,
But Aniscient 24, who I believe has commented before, he said on our last video when we were talking about the game, it starts with an S. I can't remember the title, but it was based on the Doom engine. Um,
okay.
and not just like a Doom engine, like it's literally based on the '90s Doom engine.
Right,
Um,
right.
and I was talking about another game that I couldn't remember the title of, and he suggested that it was Strafe. So he says at 46 minutes 57 seconds, are you talking about the game Strafe? And I left him a comment saying, "Oh, that was it. That's definitely it." After leaving that comment, I'm not sure if that's what I was referring to because I think what I was referring to was newer than that. But that is another great example. So you're right. You're
Yep.
right either way. Whether I'm wrong or not, you're right. That is
What
another
is
great
that game,
example.
Strafe?
It's from like 2000. I want to say 14, 15. I'm looking it up now to see exactly, but
Okay.
it's another like Doom style first person shooter game.
Okay. Right, right.
Um, very, very. It goes back to the opening question. It's like very stylized to look like that. It's made in Unity, and it feels very much like Doom or Quake. I would say it feels more like Quake, maybe.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
but yeah, from 2017, it's newer than I thought.
Oh, wow. That is
I was
pretty
pretty.
new.
Yeah, yeah, it's newer than I
But it's
thought.
a pixelated game.
It is. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. That is so funny. That every game we're going to talk about today, this ropes into, and that's kind of why I made it an opening question, is because like it's very, very common in the Linux gaming,
Right.
any like native Linux gaming community. And I think it does have a lot to do with accessibility, but that doesn't mean that it can. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that the game's going to look bad. So I guess that's the takeaway. Accessible, but doesn't necessarily mean lazy.
Yeah, like, I mean, if it's, like, your first game that you're ever making, fine,
Yeah,
because you need experience.
I the only game I ever made, and I never finished a game. I started a bunch of games. I never finished one. Oh, I have a hilarious story.
Oh, no.
Um, when I was a kid, I used to play with RPG Maker. I think it was RPG Maker
Oh, yeah.
XP or something like that. Like I play with all these, and they're still making them. I saw there's a new one, and there's like a Steam sale not too long ago where you could buy like the whole back catalog of all the RPG makers. But
That's
um,
cool.
one time I took the movie Princess Bride,
Oh, no.
and I cut all the clips up on my dad's PC in the AVI files, and I was trying to use those as like cut scenes where like basically between the scenes I would make an RPG that you could play through and join the scenes together.
That's so cool.
I never got past like the first scene, but yeah, I love doing that. I also tried to make what's embarrassing about this is only a few years ago, but I tried to make like a Dragon Con. I tried to Dragon Con's this big convention in Atlanta, and I tried to make like a Dragon Con RPG where you're trying to get to different panels at the convention. But you're having to stop and like battle all the cosplayers along the
Oh,
way.
no.
And I was
That's
trying to
great.
make that in RPG Maker. We had a comment from, and this is a really good comment. We had a comment from Igor. This was on our Steam Deck two Linux gamers perspective, and he says we mentioned that there was like a Windows on a Raspberry Pi, and like why the heck would you ever do that?
Right.
And he says Microsoft made a Windows for ARM and FAI. FX. The Windows for Raspberry Pi is made by Microsoft. Who else could anyway? He put this in parentheses. But the issue is the lack it lacks the main advantage of Windows, which is the ecosystem. Since all apps are x86 and would have to be emulated to run on an ARM, losing
Mm,
performance, so I doubt it's worth it. Yeah, that's a really good point. I
right.
mean, the whole reason you would want Windows on a Raspberry Pi is to run Windows apps, and
Right.
most of them are not going to run there.
No,
Um,
not at all.
the reason I think I may have questioned who was making that, and the reason why is I don't know if you remember, there used to be like this like pirate version of Windows XP, I think, where it was like
Mm,
some hackers had taken Windows XP and they had like modernized it and removed a bunch of stuff you didn't need to make it run faster, and it was like
right.
this like super hacked version that you could
Oh,
get.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. I think they actually have a Windows 10 version of that.
I'm sure, yeah,
Like
I'm sure.
ameliorated or something like that it's called.
Right. Yeah. So I didn't know if somebody had done something like that, but for operation on the Raspberry Pi. But
Hmm, that would
even if
be
that,
interesting.
it would be interesting. But even if that were the case, it would still have the same architecture issue where
Right.
it
Oh, yeah,
couldn't.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's a very good comment. I'm on a love and thumbs up. And then um, Amandine, on our Fedora 34 episode, we talked about
Still
how
getting comments.
I know people love that episode, man. I haven't checked to see where it's at. But that's our most popular episode. Um, she asked which tiling manager, because I talked about if we got to 50 subscribers, I was going to use a tiling manager for a month. And I used i3. I guess that's the right answer to that question. I don't know. That whole world was crazy because like you're using i3, but you got a Bumblebee little taskbar. You're opening app with a different application. It's like that is a whole nother world. That's like that is the Linux of Linux. You know what I mean?
The Linux of Linux.
Yeah. The next step after that is running FreeBSD because you're just getting deeper and deeper, man.
That's great.
And I guess I could touch base on that too. Like I'm through with my month of i3. I learned to not hate it, but I don't love it. I quickly went back. I quickly. Here's the thing. I quickly went back to GNOME, and I've also fallen out of love with GNOME. I'm ready to just go back to Cinnamon.
What's wrong with GNOME now?
I'm loving Pop OS, but I don't know. GNOME's just not doing it for me. I'm still having the weird thing where my audio just goes to nothing.
Oh
and I have to
yes,
reboot.
okay. No, that if there's a hardware issue, that's totally understandable though. Like if you're like saying, oh, I don't like it because of like the way it looks or something, like I don't know. I mean, it's all
no, I don't dislike
opinion,
it.
But
yeah, no, I don't dislike it, and
I personally think GNOME and GTK look way better than any other. I don't know. I just think they look really good.
Yeah, and I gotta say that problem it does happen, but it seems to happen less on Pop. Or I'm just
Pop has
getting
a
so
lot
used
of
to it.
extra stuff that like
It does,
no other distros put in.
Oh, it's the same. I said I thought that an Ancient 24 had commented before, but it's because of this comment. So he also commented on our Gaming on Ubuntu episode, and he says,
"Ooh, a repeat."
Great. Yep. He says, yeah, we got a repeat listener. Thanks, Ancient 24. Great cast. Thanks for keeping me up to date with gaming on Linux while I still hover over trying it again. So I guess he's coming to give it another shot. That was a month ago. I should have read that on the last episode.
Now he's full in on Linux.
Yeah. Now I'm sure he's full in. Right, exactly. All right. So thank you for your comments. I've given all those thumbs up and hearts. And can't wait to see the comments on this video. Thank you very much. So how was your week? How have you been? I know that you're adopting like a new member of the family.
Yeah, very expensive new member of the family. All right, so let me get out of Valheim here. And let me go to my, if it works. There we go. Let me go here. So I have purchased, and I am going to be the owner of an Acer Predator Helios 300. So it's like, I don't even know how to, like, what to compare it to. It's not like, I would say like an Alienware, but it's not.
Yeah. Do you have the web page pulled up?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, because I was gonna try to find it, but I'm afraid I'll grab like the wrong one.
The specific model number is PH315-54-731M. That's a mouthful.
All right, yeah, I've already lost it.
Well, if anyone wants to look it up, there you go. Just slow down the stream. Anyway, so this is a Core i7 11th gen 11800H, 2.3 gigahertz. So I'm assuming it boosts higher than that, but that's probably the normal speed.
So you're going back to Intel, huh?
Yes, only because this was a good deal.
yeah, it is a really good deal.
So it has an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060, which is currently over 3 times as powerful as the GPU I have in my desktop.
Yeah. Yeah, really. No, that's
okay.
That's
so
crazy.
Let me just put this into perspective. I paid as much for this laptop as I would have paid for this GPU if I would have bought it.
That's a really good. That's a really good way to think about
That's
it. Yeah.
what really got me over the hill was I'm like,
Mm,
"Oh my gosh, this thing is gonna be portable, so I'm gonna be able to take it anywhere." It's like
yeah.
a little mini podcasting station as well, so I can actually do my podcast from there with like a, a mobile setup.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, there's so many things that justified this.
Yeah. Um, and the form factor of the laptop. So I was looking at it. I believe I've seen other Acer laptops with this same case.
I'm sure.
Um,
They
and
always like repeat the cases.
right, yeah, and it's I remember this one. It's a solid case. Like most gaming laptops are like they feel like they're really bulky, and this one is not.
Yeah.
It's not heavy, and it's not that bad. It's also it looks like it's like a 15.5 inch screen.
Yeah,
Um,
15.6, yep.
so are you thinking about using this in place of your desktop so that basically you'll have like a sort of a docking setup at your desktop, or what's your plans for that?
So you know what? That's the one thing that I didn't think of. It does have
Mhm.
Thunderbolt, so that is one thing that I can do with it. But I didn't check if it has any other outputs. Let me see here. Mini display. Oh, okay, so it does have one mini display port, has HDMI, and it has the Thunderbolt 4. So this Thunderbolt, you can do video out from that, right? Because isn't that what you connect, or is that the PCI
Well,
connection?
it has USB Type C,
Yeah,
which
I think that's the Thunderbolt
AKA
connection.
yeah, yeah, right, you're right. Yeah, that
Because
should be
Type
able to
C
do it.
doesn't have to be Thunderbolt, but this one is.
Okay. Yeah, no, no, you definitely can get docking stations for that.
Yeah.
I have one for my work laptop that is operating that way. And the only thing that I run into with it is that I can only operate one monitor with it, but
Ah.
I'm sure I've just got some corporate like cheapo like docking station. I'm sure there's a way better way to do it. Or you could also from the docking station, if you have a display port, then you could just daisy chain display ports. But your monitor would have that
Yeah.
capability.
Well, it has the HDMI, so at the very worst, I can hook it up to my TV,
Yeah.
and I could just literally just do that for my gaming at least. Um, I can
You
just
can
use my desktop for everything else, it's not like it's not gonna be here for my main gaming. I think I'm gonna stick to that.
100% you can get you can get a setup for this. We just need to
Yeah.
research it a little bit.
Well, yeah, alls
Um
I need is 2 display ports because that's what both my monitors take.
yeah. Yeah. No, this seems awesome. I've thought about that recently. Like graphics cards are getting so expensive that
I
it's
know.
almost like is it still worth building your own PC, or should you just have just a portable setup that you can just dock at your desktop
Well, I'll
and
be able to tell you in a little bit.
yeah, really?
See
Yeah.
how good this is, see how long
I'm
it
always
lasts.
right. Yeah, see that's the thing I'm always worried about is the fact that like I've always built desktop PCs because it's like, oh yeah, when the new graphics cards that comes out, I'll just buy that, and I don't have to
Yep.
buy a whole new laptop.
Right.
But when they're $1,000 anyway,
Right.
like
Exactly.
that really changes the perspective on it. But I'm always worried about like, graphics cards are going to get really, really hot.
Yep.
And is that a limitation in the laptop? Like, are you going to find that the lifespan's different? Performance is
Performance
slightly
is different.
different
Yep.
because of that like heat trapped in there. But
It all
also,
depends it all depends on the thermals that they put into it, the cooling system that they have in it, because
yeah,
you can have this 5 laptops with the same specs, and they all get different results because of the thermal,
hmm
setup they have in there.
hmm.
I've seen
Yeah,
that, but this laptop was on the top 5 laptops in, like, almost every single review I looked at.
yeah,
So and I was like, how is this so good and so cheap comparatively speaking to the other laptops that are the same? Like, don't get me wrong, I really, really like System 76. I really, really, really wanted one of their laptops. But
hmm
for the equivalent to this one, actually less than this one, but like
yeah,
equivalent graphics and CPU and all that, it was gonna be over $2,000.
yeah,
And I'm like, there's no way I can afford that. There's just no way.
yeah. I know what you mean. I think that there's I don't know that Acer's selling this at a cost, but like a company like Acer could work that price down lower than a company like System 76 for
Yeah.
sure.
And I mean, like, if I had money, I would pay for it because I would like to back System 76. I
Yeah,
really would,
yeah, yeah.
but I don't. And also, Newegg gives you like the 4 payments interest free, whatever, and that's what I'm doing because that kind of helped me out.
Oh, okay. No, this makes it a little more appealing for me too.
Oh
Um,
no.
the the get you a System 76 16-inch laptop bag.
Yeah, right, right,
That
right.
way you're throwing them some support.
No, but
No,
like,
this thing's awesome. I see that some models have the RGB keyboard. Did you get the RGB?
yes, this one does have the RGB. Yep.
All
I
right.
have to. I have to. I hope I can like I hope I can program them specifically because I like doing that.
Yeah, it'll most likely work with what's the name of the app? CKB Next.
Yeah, I'm
It'll
sure I
most
can
likely
figure
work with
out something.
that. Yeah.
It worst comes to worst, I'll just program it in Windows and then just switch to Pop! OS, which is what
Hmm.
I'm gonna do once I get this thing. It should work. I shouldn't have a problem because everything's Intel, even the Wi-Fi chip, everything's Intel in this whole thing. So other than the graphics card, so but Pop! OS should work fine. And this one included a 1 terabyte hard drive, which it's a hard drive, but at least it's 1 terabyte. So I do have extra space for games that, I don't need to have loading all the time.
Yeah, that's pretty good right out the gate too, because I know that that's usually what I do when I buy a. Well, I've only bought like one laptop this way, but I bought it with a lower hard drive because the markup on the hard drive was so much higher than just buying it at the lowest and then just
Right.
buying a hard drive and putting it in there.
Yep.
So for it to come right out the gate with 1 terabyte is pretty good.
Well, this is the thing. If I bought this on Amazon, I would have been paying, let's see, what would have been, it would have been four, I think it would have ended up being 14. And this is like 14.50 on here. So $50 for a 1 terabyte hard drive that I don't have to install, fine.
Mhm.
I'll pay that. Um, but I almost forgot the best thing that comes with this thing is Crisis Remastered Trilogy.
Yeah.
I'm like stoked to play that game. Actually, I could probably get it right now because it's the digital download or whatever. Um, but I'm so stoked to play that because I love Crisis. Crisis was one of my
Yeah.
favorite.
I I think let me see if I have it in my Steam
Oh, I have
library.
I have all of them on my Steam, all the
Oh,
originals.
no, you know what? I know.
I
I
actually bought
had
them on Steam and on GOG.
yeah, I had them on GOG, I guess. I don't have them on Steam.
Yeah, I bought them on both because I just liked so much. I wanna preserve them because I know Steam said that they would release their games if they ever went out, yada yada, blah blah blah. But I
Yeah.
have a backup of it just in case with GOG.
Yeah, I only had the first one when it came out, but I remember it
Okay.
was like, that was like, "Oh my gosh,
The
this is
first one
so
is the absolute best. Like, the first one is 10
amazing."
times better than all the other ones. I don't care what
Oh,
anyone
yeah?
says. Yeah,
It's like the
some
Matrix
people say
movies?
some people say 2 is better, but 1 is just so good. Like,
Hmm.
it's the almost the same kinda feeling with Halo. Like, it's that first experience. You're just like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Nothing can be better."
Wow, yeah, that's, I remember it. Yeah, I remember it was like, "It'll never get better," and forever it was like, "But can it run Crysis?"
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That
That
was
was
like
the
10
meme.
years that went like that. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
My
But,
wife just got a new Nissan Leaf, but can it run Crysis?
can it run to be honest, nowadays it probably can.
I know Elon Musk is probably working on getting the Teslas to run Crysis. That's why he needs those game developers. They're
Crisis
trying to get
mode.
trying to get Crysis to run. Oh
But,
man.
as far as longevity for this laptop, I'm thinking it's gonna last me quite a while,
Mhm.
because I'm not one to, like I don't know how to describe it, like, I don't play the newest games, so
Mhm.
I don't need the best of graphics, so, like, I had a GTX 780 till 2019, so that was
Yeah.
8, 9 years? 9 years I had that graphics card, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I had that card at some point. Um, yeah, I know. Mine This is making me want to at least upgrade. I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to look
Well,
now.
do you know? I'm sure by offhand you probably don't know, but do you know how many CUDA cores yours has?
No, no, I
Because
don't
that's what
know.
I always look at to compare like the because obviously this is a way newer architecture than the one I have in my desktop. But
Hmm.
my desktop has like 1200 or something like CUDA cores, and this one has like 3600 CUDA cores. So I'm like, holy crap, this thing's gonna really blow my desktop away.
Yeah, I know. I know that's the thing. Getting a laptop like that, I feel like I would just like replace my desktop.
Well, like I'm basically planning on just like couch gaming because
Yeah.
like this is the thing, like my wife and I, we both game, and we're sitting on the she'll be sitting on the couch and I'll be in the office, and we'll be trying to like play with each other, and it'll be like we're like yelling across the house. So this is going to be a
Yeah.
lot easier for me to just be able to be on the couch and her right next to me, and we can play cuz she has a gaming laptop. I bought her I don't know, like 2 years ago now or something like that,
Hmm.
and it has the same graphics card as the one in my desktop. Well,
Hmm.
it's the 1650, and I have the 1650 Super, so it's a little bit less powerful. But
Yeah.
yeah, so and that is pretty equivalent, I would say, to my graphics card. So if you compare apples to apples, like we were trying to say, so I think it's going to perform very well, even comparatively speaking to a 3060 desktop GPU.
Yeah, I think it's a good buy. Got me jealous over here. Um so I want to go over a news story before we do our gaming reviews because I don't know what kind of time we're gonna have. We're already 34 minutes, and
I
I
know.
think I
Sorry.
think no, 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 no. It's great. It's great. I love this. But I think that we've got to at least cover this one story, if nothing else.
Yes, I
And
know exactly what you're going to.
yep. So that is, of course, that the EAC has finally come to Linux, and BattleEye is inbound. I'm not as familiar with BattleEye, but I guess that's just another EAC,
Yeah. Yep, basically, it's
another
the same
anti-cheat.
thing. Yep, same thing, just different name, different company that
Um,
makes it, I guess.
Let me see. Trying to see how I can get this on screen. So we're trying out this new system today. All right, here we go. Here we go. Turn this bad boy on.
Ooh, cool. Now I can see it too.
Yeah. I'm looking at the according to the Verge article, but this has been reported everywhere. I wonder if Gary did it. I wonder if Gary is the is the reason that this has finally come to pass. You know, last episode we talked about how Gary Boy was working on the EAC
Gary.
problem with Valve. Well, somebody was successful because they have officially solved the problem where EAC will work now through Proton and Wine compatibility layers. Now, the thing is game developers will have to patch their game for it to work. So right now, I'm sure it's working on every Valve game. I mean, I don't know that to be true, but I
But
gotta imagine.
do they have
Hmm.
to patch their game for it, or do they have to, like, make sure their game works with Proton, or, like, what does that mean by patch their game?
Oh, that's a good point. In this article, this article doesn't specify that, but
Hmm,
that's a really good point.
'Cause you don't have to patch your game to work with Proton.
No,
I'm
but
just
you may.
assuming they don't know what they're talking about as far as Proton goes. No offense to
No,
The
no, they
Verge.
might.
I
Yeah,
know you
yeah,
know what you're talking about.
right.
I'm just saying as far as Proton goes, it works differently.
Yeah, so I found that paragraph here. So while developers would still need to patch their game, this immediately means some of the most popular games on Steam are now theoretically within reach, including Apex Legends, Dead by Daylight, and War Thunder, which are all among the 25 top 25 games on Steam. Other popular EAC games, including 7 Days to Die, Fall Guys, Black Desert, Black Desert.
Black Desert Online. I get
Uh,
flashbacks when I hear that one.
I know the a new like a new they've changed in some way. I can't remember if it's a new publisher or a new. I can't remember what's changed about it. But last time I tried Black Desert before this change, it would not run on Proton. Hunt Showdown, Paladins, and Halo, the Master Chief Collection. There you go. You got
Yeah,
your
boy.
I don't know. You know what? The way that paragraph kind of reads, it could actually be talking about the compatibility with Proton, because I'll
Okay,
bet
yeah.
you these are like in the top Proton things. I'm not sure. I didn't think about that when I originally read this article. That's a good.
Maybe there are things you can do with the game, like actual code in the game to make it work better with Proton and not have to
Yeah.
like make Proton conform to the game. You know what I'm trying to say?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, before the stream, I was playing Star Trek Online, and I'm playing on Proton. And at one time, it ran awful on Proton. It was like not even possible.
Right. Oh
And
yeah.
now it runs fine. It runs as good. It runs exactly the same as it does on Windows.
Mhm. Mhm.
And there was recently, I read, it wasn't an article. It was just like some people talking about Proton compatibility, like on some forum somewhere, and apparently people have found references to wine in Star Trek Online's some of
Hmm.
their configurations. So
Interesting.
there's some evidence that at least somebody was like, hey, you know, maybe we don't officially support Linux, but you know, let's do what
Maybe
we
we should
can to
throw
make
some
sure it
stuff
runs
in
on Proton.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
um
cool. That's really cool.
yeah, now that was just some comment on some forum somewhere, so you know, Scuba Steve 1987 may not be right in whatever what he was claiming. But yeah, so this is great news. This is great news for even if you're not having, even if you're not getting a Steam Deck. It seems like, you know, just as we predicted that we're going to start seeing these benefits because of development for the Steam Deck. And you know what? If the Steam Deck, even if it's a complete flop and it doesn't go that far right now in the lead up to it, let's hope that they push out as much of this type of stuff as they can.
I don't think the sales are gonna be a flop. I think that maybe the after effect of getting it and playing it for a while, that might be the flop of it. You know what I'm trying to
Mm.
say? Like, I think it's gonna
Yeah.
sell very well.
Hmm. I don't hear as much about it now. You know, I mean, it was, I would have expected it to die off, but like I feel like it's dropped. Like, I mean, I don't know. I felt like it's dropped off pretty heavy. So I don't know that
Yeah.
after they're launched, if they have a poor launch, I don't see it. I don't see it surviving.
Yeah, then definitely, definitely. If they have a poor launch, yeah, no way.
But I'm pumped. I can't wait to get mine. Even if like nobody buys one and they decide it was a complete failure, and they're like, you know what, we're never making any more. If you were lucky enough to get your hands on the Steam Deck whenever it came out, then you know, I will still love and cherish mine because it's just a handheld PC, and that is
Yeah.
just an amazing thing.
I think half the
Um,
people bought it for that reason.
right, I know. They could have just advertised it as that. Like, I think there might be people out there that are confused. If you're not a Linux gamer and like you're not real familiar with Proton, you may be confused with the whole concept in general, and you're just kind
Oh,
of
yeah,
comparing it to the
definitely.
Switch,
Right.
like too heavily. But anyway, so yeah, that's really good. That's really good news. I'm glad to see that coming out. Let's do our newly designed segment where we're kind of doing like a deep dive little mini review of a game. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay.
Unless you're not ready.
No, I gotta get like a quick setup, but I just want
It's
to
all good.
log in. I don't know if I don't know how much. Yeah, here we go. I'll start on the character screen. All right, so before I reveal mine, I just want to say, um, I always talk about MMOs, and lately I've been on an old school MMO kick. And you know, I talked about Lord of the Rings Online. I played Star Trek today. I never went through a WoW Classic phase, but I know that's a big thing. There's a lot of people that are just like looking for, you know, that experience again. And so like there's this kind of this there's like a community of like old school MMO gamers. And behind me here, I can show off my collection. Oh, there's some missing because of D&D session. They're downstairs. Um, you know, I play a lot of tabletop RPGs, and there's a thing in the tabletop RPG world that like a old school RPG, and it's people that, you know, they want to play a harder, like more in depth, more brutal like your character's probably going to die style of tabletop RPG.
You're definitely gonna die.
Right. Whereas like modern tabletop RPGs are much more story focused, and the trends have changed as like certain YouTube channels and things have become popular. Like the way just the larger audience as a whole views games is different,
Right.
and it's very comparable to the MMO genre. So, I decided I wanted to play an MMO that was Linux native and um, was also this old school vein. And so I had heard about this game for a long time, but I never actually gave it a shot. And I just thought this was a perfect opportunity. So I picked up Project Gorgon, which is a hilarious name. But I'm sure that's intentional because the game is very self-aware. There's all sorts of little tongue-in-cheek
Very
jokes.
self-aware.
Yes. This Project Gorgon is like the Deadpool of
Oh, that's
MMOs.
so cool.
Yes, it is an MMO that knows it's an MMO, and there's all sorts of little like inside jokes, and just all the dialogue is
I like how your guy
funny.
has no shoes.
Yeah, I haven't got any boots yet. I've been looking for boots, and I refuse to buy them. Matter of fact, I don't even know if I could buy them, but I haven't gotten any yet. I want to show you the character creation first. So
No.
again, all this is running native on Linux. There's no Proton involved. You just buy the game on Steam. Actually, they have a demo. You don't have to buy it. It's a little pricey. Don't buy this game unless you want to play an old school MMO. It's not going to feel new at all. But they have a demo, and you can play it in the demo. There's just like restrictions with what you can do with other player characters that are not also on a demo. So if we go to character creation, you basically only have 3 races. You have a human, elf, and the Rakshasa.
Ooh, I like that guy.
Rakshasa. Yeah, so he's like a cat dude. And then you got your elf dude. The elf has like he's got a subtype, only 2 subtypes. The human, there's basically like you can change the skin tone, but there's basically like one human, Can I change his face? I can't even change his face. They all have this same pretty boy face.
Pretty boy face.
Of course you've got female also, but so it's very, very basic. These classes over here have not been added into the game yet. Oh, by the way, the game is, I don't know if it's alpha or beta, but the game is not released. The game is 100% like still in development.
Expensive but not released.
And
It's like a theme of like all new games nowadays.
right. So the game is developed by a 2-person dev team. And it's
Really?
actually and it's a husband-wife duo.
That's cool.
Eric and Sandra. Eric has I got this from their website, right? So I'm not just like saying all these nice things about him. It's from their website. But Eric has over a decade of experience working as a senior and lead engineer, developer, designer, and producer on successful games such as Astron's Call 1 and 2, Star Trek Online, and other successfully massively multiplayer online games. Sandra also has extensive experience working on Astron's Call 1, Astron's Call Throne of Destiny, EverQuest 2, and EverQuest 2 Echoes of Feydour. So the only I've heard of Astron's Call. I've never played EverQuest 2 or EverQuest 1, but all 3 of those are, famously very popular MMOs. And of course, Star Trek Online, I have played, and I think some of the graphics in this game, while it reminds me somewhat of some of the stuff you see in Star Trek Online, although Star Trek Online is more modern looking. So the first thing you'll notice about the game is that it is like super low res. I don't know what to say. Low res. It's very old looking. The graphics are not great, and just know that going in, the graphics are not great. But this game's not really about that. It's not really that kind of game. The game is so while this is not finished, and I'm sure that they're going to continue to try to improve on it, it will never be a modern like looking game because the intention of the game is to have that old school look and feel. Like it's meant to be a older MMO. Right now, I'm in this cave because I've got to try to get 50. I could try to get 50 spider legs so that I can take it back to this lady, and she's going to make me a poison resistance
I
potion.
love the quest name.
What
Their
was the
hairy
first name?
legs.
Yeah, they're hairy legs. Yeah, see, it's full of stuff like that. I didn't even notice that. Um, so I gotta kill these spiders. But the way the quests work in the game is like whenever you go into a town, like there's no exclamation points. Um, there's no quest givers of a traditional sense. There's just NPCs there, and as you talk to them, you learn about things that they like. You learn about things that they need done. They may just mention something to you and not actually give you a quest to go do it, but because they said that, you go investigate it, and then you come back to that character, and now they know
Hmm,
you've been there. Like for one thing, I
that's
went into
interesting.
this. I accidentally teleported here by mistake. So I was using a teleport uh, thing in the game, and I ended up here by mistake, and then died. And then when I went back to town, there was a lady in town that she knew I had been here, and so she told me, she said, "Hey, if you go there and get me 50 spider legs, then I'll make you this antidote." And so that's what sent me on this quest. It wasn't a big marker above her head that told me to do it.
Cool. So how does the leveling work in this game?
Yeah, it's a good question. So there are no like levels for your character. And I might die because I got this poison on me. Don't die, dude. I don't have any way to get rid of it until I get 50 legs. Um, so uh, there's no level for the character itself, but it's skill based leveling. So I'm trying to do sword and archery, and
Okay.
so on my sword, um, I can level up by just using my sword. In the same way with archery, I just have to use my archery
Okay.
skills, and as I kill things, they'll level up, and then I'll get these other
So there's
skills to
no
get back to
main
level
level
up.
for your character per se.
No, it's all about leveling up different
The different
skills.
skills. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's very similar to the way Albion has just like no level, but that game's all about crafting new gear.
Right.
This one is really just about leveling up everything. Oh, and check this out. You also level up in dying, and I'm level 5 of 50 because I've been dying a lot.
Give you a reason to die.
My dying is higher than my archery.
Level 100 dying.
Yeah, like literally everything you do in this game, you gain levels for.
That's cool though. That's really cool.
Um, I'll intentionally die in just a minute, and we'll go back to the
Oh yeah,
the town.
intentionally. No, I'm just kidding.
um, but it's a self-aware MMO. All the dialogue is hilarious. There are things in the game like death is not the worst thing in the game. So one of the things they tell you early on is that oh, I died. There are things worse than death. You can actually get curses.
You
So
heard zero death experience?
because I've already died by that spider before, probably.
Oh, okay.
All right, so let's leave this tomb, and I'm sure I'll die out here, and then I'll get respawned. I'll get respawned in town. Um, so like, you can get curses. You may get cursed where just like randomly your health will drop to 50% or will drop by 50% or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So,
Like your max
um,
health.
right, exactly. So
Oh, that sucks.
so like there's really odd things in this game. It's not like any other MMO I've seen. But it does have that like really old style grindy feel. Um
I like the
and-
old style grind. Like that was the way
yeah.
I always played.
Oh, look at these crazy like little streaks I got on the that's weird. Um so the yeah, the quests encourage exploration. So the quests are all about like, go here and look at this, or as you explore, you'll find that there's something you can do. Quests will be something like make this person happy, or something like that. And it's like, well, how do I do that? Like, how do I make I don't know nothing about this guy. Like, what do I do? Like whenever you're in the starting zone is amazing too, by the way. But when you're in the starting zone, one of the quests is to cheer up somebody, and you're like, I don't know anything about this guy. You have to talk to him, you have to talk to other people, and you find out more and more about what you can do to help this guy. And then you got to learn to make a recipe, and then you make this recipe. I mean, it's just like, and at no point was there ever like an exclamation point or anything that guided you along. You just had to read the
Right.
dialogue and figure it out.
Huh.
um
Yeah, that
there
doesn't sound like a game for me. I'm very bad at that kind of stuff.
yeah,
At
I've
remembering like what the person said, like no way. I'll
oh, I
start.
know. Yeah.
I'll be on like 50 quests before I even like figure out the first one.
Yeah, I know. Let me get killed by this guy. There's no way I can kill him anyway. He would totally kill me. Um. So yeah, and they have an NPC relationship system. So like as you at you all right. So in any other MMO, you go to a vendor and you just sell your junk. Well, the vendors in this game, they may not have enough gold to just infinitely buy all your junk.
Oh, okay.
So what you have to do is you build relationships with them by giving them gifts. And
Hmm.
so like if I look at an item in my inventory, like let's just look at this weird blue ball. I don't know what that is. That was a bad example. Let's
Perfectly
look at
round pebble.
gifting. Okay, so like here, this is a pigfoot. Well, I've met somebody named Volcourt who mentioned something that leads me to believe that he would be into this pigfoot. So I could go give this to
Okay, so
that
there's a
guy.
little hint.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, for this, yes. Um,
For this. Oh
and then
no.
there's also 5 people somewhere in the world that would like this pigfoot that I've not met yet.
Hmm.
And so instead of just going and vendoring the junk here, you can do that, but eventually the person you're trying to sell it to will run out of gold. And so instead, if you want to buy more things from that person, or if you if for some reason you want to befriend this person, then you can give it to them as a gift, which increases that your favor and helps you in future things. Like this is the lady. I don't know why this is on fire in here. Like this is the lady here that told me about the spider legs, and
Okay.
you see down here my favor with her is 25 of 100, and that's because I gifted her something.
Right.
If I go here and say give gift and see how this is spinning right here, so this is
Oh,
something I
okay.
know that she's interested in.
That looks like a pretty good piece of gear. I don't know if I'd give that to her.
That's actually like a food ration, which this game
Oh, okay.
right now I have a debuff because I haven't eaten anything. So this also has like a survival element of like
Oh, that's
you
interesting.
constantly want to eat stuff. Um, so
Huh.
yeah, I sometimes I log into the game. I've been playing it because I wanted to talk about it on the show. I've been almost playing this nonstop, but recently I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm kind of burnt out on playing it.
Kind of sick of this game.
But I'll tell you what, like I log in and some days I'm just like, you know what? I don't feel like doing this today. I don't feel like reading all this. Like some days you just want to zone out and just go, I want to go from exclamation point to question mark, exclamation point to question mark. Like I don't
Yep.
want to do all this reading, finding out what they like, finding out what they really mean whenever they told me to go to this place and then I go there and then, like I don't want to do all that. And so I kind of get like, burnt out. I still don't have any I still don't have any shoes in this game. I can't I can't for some reason I can't pick up any shoes on anything I kill or find that. One thing I did that was hilarious was I went to this guy over here. This is the guy that does like the archery stuff. And so I decided I wanted archery to be my secondary, probably will eventually be my primary stat. And so I go to him and I'm like, well, in order to start, oh, and see, by the way, I've almost filled up his favor level
Hmm.
for the first level because I know that I'm going to continue to buy arrows from him. So I want to raise my favor with him as much as possible. I know that I'm going to need this
Right.
person in the future. Um, so I went to his shop and I said, well, I'm going to need to buy a bow. and I'm gonna need to buy some kind of arrows. So why not, beginner arrows? And you see, I've only got 382 gold. Well, at the time, I only had like 100 gold, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy one set of arrows and one bow. And then I went and talked to this other lady, and she wanted me to go kill some deer. Well, the deer run, so you need to have a bow and arrow.
Right. Yeah.
And that that arrow, that was just one arrow. Like it wasn't like a
You
stack
thought
of
it was a
arrows.
bundle.
Right, yeah. So I bought one arrow from this dude, and I went out into the wilderness to go get some deer. And so I would shoot a deer, and one arrow is not enough to kill a deer. So I shot
You
the
went to go
deer.
grab the next arrow from your quiver, and it was gone.
It was gone. So like I had to basically like shoot a deer and then chase it down and kill it with my sword, get my arrow back, and then go find the next deer and shoot it, and then get
At
my
least
arrow
you get
back.
your arrow back.
Well, and then eventually I got to one that like it got away. It got away
Oh
with my
no.
arrow. So I had no
Oh
arrows.
no.
So I earned enough gold. Or no, I did a quest for that guy. That guy wanted me to go take something to somebody, and I went and delivered it. It was like a courier quest, and then the reward for that quest was like 300 arrows. So
Of
now I
course.
got arrows, yeah. And I was able to go back and kill the deer so that I could go
Did you find the deer with your arrow in it?
no, I never got my arrow back.
Ah.
It's gone for good. But yeah, this game's intriguing because it's just this unique like small MMO that is it's designed to feel and look like an old school MMO game, and it runs natively on Linux. I tried it on Proton as well. I actually think it does work better with the native Linux install, but not by much. And there's one minor flaw with running this game on Linux, and that is if I turn on, so if I have everything on Ultra, the way the game comes, you have this. You can't see all these settings unless you check this box. But if you set the settings on Ultra, you have this screen space ambient occlusion, and it's on by default. And see, it does make the game look better. I think this looks better,
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
but it causes this motion blur.
Oh.
See this wild, sickening motion
Yeah.
blur?
Oh, I hate
Um,
that. I turn off all motion blur, even if it's a specific setting in the game. I hate motion blur.
yeah. And the main difference is like lighting. Like if you look at the wood on this
Yeah. Oh, I could definitely
building
tell.
over
As
here.
soon as you turned it on, I could see a difference.
Yeah. So what I've found, you can get this to work. So let's turn it back on. You can get it to work. All right. So I know that for the audio listeners out there, if you have that setting turned on, you can get it to work, but it's finicky. I've just given up basically. But if you change it to windowed mode, so go up here to show full screen, we'll disable that and say save. And then now I'm going to change the resolution. So change that. And then now we're going to go back to the highest resolution and go back to full screen. Still got the blur. See, sometimes when I do that, it solves the problem, but not every time. I
How
kind of,
did you figure that out?
because the way I figured this out was what's happening is because this actually is a problem also on Windows, and so
Okay.
there's lots of forum posts about it, but it's different. You can fix it on Windows just by turning Bloom off, but that
Mm.
doesn't seem to fix it on Linux. Okay, so I just got it working. So now I can run around, and if you look really
Okay.
closely,
Yeah.
at my character, there is a blur still, but it's
Slightly.
not.
Yeah, but it's
It's
not
not.
nearly as bad. It's not
Yeah.
over the whole area. It's almost like when you were moving, there was like a fog.
And what I did to fix it this time, I didn't go to windowed mode. I just changed the resolution and then changed it back. So what I figured out is there was a forum post where someone was talking about how they had this problem, and that it had something to do with the resolution of their screen and the resolution of the filter that's on top of what's being rendered in the game. And
Oh,
there
okay.
is like a mix match, and so whenever you move, you see that weird overlay.
Right.
I don't know enough to explain it, but I just when I read that, I I thought, oh, it must have something to do with resolution. So what if I just change my resolution while I'm in game and see if that affects it? And
Hmm.
it does seem to sometimes. So
Well, that's good. That's further than I would have got. I
it's
wouldn't have
just
thought of that.
I find it easier to just leave that setting turned off, but the game does look a lot better when you have it on. So
It does, yeah.
um so anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and quit the game. But the one of the things about the game that a lot of people were um enthusiastic about is that the game Project Gorgon seemed to have a very like sort of like innocent approach. Like they didn't have an in-game cash shop. They didn't do any sort of VIP
Right.
or anything like that. And you know, I thought that was really neat. I like the idea that the game is developed by this like husband and wife dev team.
Right, yeah.
Um, but the now that they're getting closer to like I think that they're getting to the point that like this is going from being like this hobby that they were doing to they actually want to release the game and you know they're trying to progress and make this more than just what it was. And so they've started some more monetization plans, including a VIP subscription. So you can subscribe. I'm not sure how much it is. I'm sure it says it in my Steam store if I look. Um, but the VIP subscription is still unusual. Like this game is just so unusual. Like it's not just like okay, I got the VIP subscription, so I have this like XP boost and all this kind of stuff. Basically, the VIP subscription gives you access to a new feature where you can level up certain skills by obtaining books in the game
Hmm.
and using the book and having a VIP account allows you to level over the course of 2 days, even when you're logged out of the game.
Hmm.
And the books are created by other players who are not VIP members, and they can level up this skill that allows them to write the books.
Hmm. That's
So,
interesting. I've never
yeah,
heard of that game mechanic ever.
yeah, I know this game's full of like weird stuff like that. Like it's so bizarre.
That's actually a
Um,
really good idea though, like,
yeah,
that the free players or whatever you wanna call them
hmm
benefit the, um, paid players, and then it goes back to the free it's like a circle. It's the
yeah,
circle of gaming.
yeah. It's really interesting. So, like, they have like a book writing skill. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
nonfiction
yeah.
book
No, no,
writing or
I
something.
totally get that. That's really cool. Like,
And
I'm
so,
seriously, like,
yeah,
impressed. That's cool.
So let me tell you how it works. So if I wanted to write a book on archery, then I would have to, for one thing, the whatever the level of the book is, I would have to have that level of writing, obviously.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
but then I would also need to have 25 levels above whatever I'm putting in the book. So if you're a VIP subscriber and you're looking for level 15 archery,
Right.
then you would have to get a book that was written by an archer that had level 15 plus 25. So what was that 30, 40? You'd have to have that level. So you couldn't get max level. You can only get up to 25% away or 25
Okay.
levels away from max level. So yeah, that's like a really like a really interesting concept for how they
Yeah.
for how they approach this. And then they also have a cash shop now, but it is the weirdest cash shop I've ever seen. It's obviously not finished. There's no pictures of anything, and it's actually you're purchasing something that is not even in the game yet. So there there's no writable mounts yet in the game. They don't have that yet. They have it on their roadmap as like their next things that they're launching. But
It's
in
like a
their shop,
Kickstarter.
right, yeah. In their shop, they're selling Horseback Explorer 2 package, the Thoroughbred Breeder package, and the Horse Lord package. And that's $50, $75, and $500.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I just think it's funny that these are all horse related. That's the only items in their cash shop. The cash shop has 3 horse related items, and they don't they
I'm
don't
getting
have rideable horses yet.
I'm getting flashbacks from Oblivion with the horse armor. The horse armor scandal.
Oh man, we've got the horse riding scandal over here.
Oh my gosh.
Um, I don't know. I think the game is quaint. I think I like the development team.
It
I
looks
think
cool. Like
game
I
is
could get into it.
it's interesting, but would I recommend it to most people? Absolutely not. I feel like this is like a niche audience. Like you've got to be
Okay.
looking for this kind of game.
Yeah.
I don't even know that I'm the audience, because I'll tell you what it's missing for me is like that kind of holy trinity like group thing. Like there seems to not. I don't know. Maybe I just hadn't gotten far enough yet. I just started the game, but I haven't seen in any of the playthroughs or any of the tutorials I've watched. I haven't seen anything about like group content where you have like a tank and a DPS. You know what I mean? Like
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
sure there's
Like
things in the game that are harder to kill and it's going to take multiple people to kill it, but I didn't see anything like where it's like, oh, the tank's got to do this mechanic and then this other
right.
guy's got to do this mechanic. And I'm just so used to that. Like that's what I'm looking for. You know what I mean? So I mean there's elements of this that I like, and I'm definitely going to I don't feel like I made a bad purchase. I'll definitely play this again. But it's not, this isn't replacing Final Fantasy 14 for me,
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
then yeah.
and even as a Linux MMO, even if you say, well, this runs natively on Linux and you can just install it and you can just play it. Well, guess what? Thanks to Proton, Elder Scrolls is the same way. Like
Mm-hmm.
I would direct somebody to just buy Elder Scrolls and install it and play it
Yeah.
on
Because
Linux.
you're that confident that it's gonna install and
Right.
gonna work.
Right, exactly. Right, exactly. And luckily in the MMO space, there's a ton. Almost all MMOs play on Linux
Yeah.
if you're willing to use Lutris or Proton. I mean,
Right.
there's almost nothing that you can't play.
Definitely a little more work on the Lutris side for you to do, like when the game updates and stuff.
Yeah.
But from the Proton side, I have never seen it break.
Mm-mm. And Lutris runs. So I don't play WoW anymore, but like when I used to play WoW, like Lutris plays WoW like identical to Windows. Like
Yeah.
you'll
Well,
forget you're playing on Linux.
Leo said that it does break between updates sometime though, and you have to kind of
Oh,
fix things.
yeah, that's likely true. Yeah, that's likely true.
But like with Elder Scrolls Online, I've never had it break between an update. Even that big update that we got, it worked just fine. I just got the update, everything worked.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sorry I ate up all the time.
All good.
Let's
I don't have nearly as much to talk about anyway. you did a thorough
I did a deep I did a deep dive, and I had been sitting on it for a long time, and I decided tonight, I was like, if we reschedule this podcast, I'm going to do this solo because I'm tired of playing Project Gorgon. And, and now that we've done this, I can move on for a little while. I'll come back one day, Project Gorgon, but I'm burnt out. I'm burnt out right now.
I'll come back.
And when I come back, you better have some damn boots.
There'll be a boot making skill for the free people.